This video will show you how to create an assignment that locks a student into a question until they get it right before they can move on to the next question. This can be a very useful tool specifically for math, where if you give students 10 practice problems, if they don't actually know the steps or they're making an error in their process, there's a good chance that they're going to get all 10 questions wrong because they don't truly understand. So instead of having them move all the way through an assignment getting all 10 questions wrong, we can create an assignment that won't allow them to move on before they get that question right. And so that way they're not going to do all of their independent practice incorrectly. This has great application in all content areas, not just math. But this particular example I will show you using a math example. While we are a Microsoft division, unfortunately Microsoft Forms does not have the same capabilities needed to make this assignment. So we're actually using Google Forms. You will still be able to use this Google form inside Canvas, and you'll be able to have it auto grade, but it will not put it in the Canvas gradebook for you, but we can look at how to embed this in different ways. Right now I've logged into Google Forms with my own personal Gmail account. You can go create your own free account at Google as well, and then I just logged into Google Forms. To start, I'm just going to click on the big plus and start a new blank form. I will call this practice assignment and maybe the date, which is today. And again, if I just click up here, whatever I've named it, it will name the form as well. It's really important because we're not a Google school that if we want our students to be able to fill this out and get data from it, we're going to have to change this around a little bit. So I would go ahead and say your first question should be short answer, and I would say last name and make it required. And then I would add another one that again is short answer, and I would say first name. And I would do this just so that when I go through to review the work that has been submitted, it's easy to find. If you were giving the same assignment to all of your classes, I might also do a drop down and I would say block, and I would put in my 3 choices. If you're double blocked, it might be 1AB, 2AB, and 3AB. Obviously you could have more. And again, I would make those 3 questions required. From here, I want to go ahead and separate it into a new section. So I'm going to add this add section button. It looks like the bubble letters for an equal sign. And now I would just say question 1. So each one of our questions is going to be a new section, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the actual assignment other than we want to stop them at the end of each section, and that's how we're going to do that, by creating different sections, and you'll see how this impacts what we're doing in a minute. So now I need to actually add my question, so I'm going to use the little plus to say add question. And when I scroll down, again, I want to make this a short answer. If I were doing a math example and perhaps we're having students solve for x, so I might say x plus 3 equals 5, and I want to make sure that this is a required question. And you'll notice when you first look at it, it just says short answer text. When I click on these 3 dots down here in the corner, you'll see something called response validation. When I click on that, I can now set it so that it will not move on before they get this question right. So I leave it as a number, and instead of saying greater than, I want it to be equal to, and the correct answer would be 2. I can also give a custom error text. So if they get it wrong, I can choose what they see as the error. So I could just say, whoops, try again. Or if I wanted to, if I had wanted to give them a hint, I could say hint, what should you subtract from each side? Now, that's the math I learned. That might be the wrong math. That might not actually be how you teach it anymore. I'm probably not really qualified to make a video on math questions, but it should work just the same. So once I have this, I've set it up as required, and I've given the custom text if they get it wrong. Now, if I just add another question all in the same section, it's not going to freeze my student on this question before they move on. So before I do question 2, I'm going to add a new section, and I would call this one question 2. And it may seem like an extra step, but that's how we're going to hold our students in that one spot. So again, I'm going to say short answer. I could do another one. I could say 5 minus x equals 1. And again, I want to make sure that I have that response validation. So I want to say is equal to 4. And again, I would say hint, and then you could make your hint whatever it is, whatever sort of suggestion you would want. You also would want to tell your students if they get it wrong 2 or 3 times in a row, then they really probably need to reach out to you. So I would even encourage them that if, when you assign this activity, let them know that if you're really struggling and you're answering it many times and you're not getting it right, to reach out. So I'm only going to do 2 just to show you how this works. So now if I go here to this little preview eye, when I click on it, it's actually even going to let you test this out. So I could say Donatelli, Lori, I can choose my block, and I hit next. Now, if I try this question and I get it wrong, and I hit next, it's not going to let me move on before I get the question right. So I can delete this again, and now if I put in the correct answer and I hit next, it will let me go to question 2. Again, if I try to put in the wrong answer, it's still going to tell me that it's wrong. I didn't fill out a hint here, but whatever you would type in here would show up as the hint. So again, I can go in and put in the correct answer and now hit submit, and it's finished. If I want to take out this submit another response and change this page, I can. So I'm actually going to close this preview, and it's going to take me back to my other page that I started. You'll see that I have already gotten 1 response. That was me in that trial. So you'll be able to see exactly what the answers are, and we'll be able to download a spreadsheet to see your results. So right now it's going to open a new spreadsheet, and you'll be able to see your student's name, their block, and then what their answers were. Obviously, you know that if they've gone all the way through it, their answers are all going to be 2 before they could move on. But you can pull that report there as well. If I wanted to change the end page and I didn't want them to be able to do it again, I would say that I would make this show link to submit another response. I would take that off so that they can't just link right back in. And I could also say, congrats, you're all finished. Great work. So when I save this, now when my students submit, they will see my message to them, and they will also not see that link to open up a new one. From here, I can take this form and I can put it into my Canvas page. So I'm going to hit the send button, and I'm actually going to click here at this link. And from here, I'm going to copy my link's form. My form's link. Now I'm going to come back into Canvas, and I'm going to create an assignment. And I'm going to hit the blue plus, and I'm going to say practice assignment. From here, I'm going to give my directions, and I'm actually just going to post the link. Please make sure that you give your students directions before you post the link, and it would say something like, go in and complete this. And then you can give it points, but you're going to make this a no submission. They really can't go in and fill out this Google form inside of Canvas and have it connect to the Canvas assignment. But the reason that I'm still putting it in here is it's still going to show up on their calendar and it's going to show up on their to-do list. And so we still want them to have that. And I would also then be able to go in and put in my due date as well. So I would want to make sure that I still put it in as an assignment. I can hit save. And then when they come in, they're going to click on this and go take their Google Forms. If I want to see that they did it, I would then have to go into my Google form and pull that as well. If you wanted to, you could also make this an online submission and just make it a text entry, and you could tell them that when they're finished, type done in the box when finished with the activity. Sometimes teachers like to do that as an option just so that they can go back in and see that they have at least acknowledged that they have finished. So that's just one activity that you could do. Again, it is a little bit to set up, but I think that there are some great benefits for your students that you can kind of customize your independent practice. This is another, you could use this for a digital breakout as well. So if you wanted them to answer questions or kind of come up with a code that they have to break out with the correct code, you could use that as well. If you have questions, please see me, your IIC.